Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
America Act. We should have voter identification, voter ID. We should have proof of citizenship. We should have mail-in voting for the military and people that need it, but not for everybody. Because anytime you have mail-in voting, they're going to cheat. And they cheat like dogs. And they have to cheat. You know, in all fairness to the Democrats, when you have men and women sports, when you have open borders, when you have transgender mutilization, don't listen to this, kids, of your children, transgender mutilization of your children for everyone. When you have policies like that, you have to cheat. It's the only way they can win. And we shouldn't allow them to cheat. And we should terminate the filibuster, because if they get the chance, they'll do it in the first hour back. Yeah.
They'll terminate the filibuster in the first hour back. We know that that's true. And we know if we don't get rid of mail-in ballots are the gas to the machine. The machines are 100% built to be fraudulent. And we've been able to prove it. Whether we talk about the 4 reports that Tina Peters has, or we talk about the massive number of other audits we've done, whether we're talking about Arizona or Georgia or what just happened in Virginia. It's always 49 to 51. It's always 49 to 51. It's always 66 to 33. It's like they don't have an imagination. A vast majority of the Americans in this country want us to have free and fair elections. They want to have a voice. But it's not just robbing you of your voice. The robbing you of your voice leads to them robbing you of your money. You know, they use these tax systems to put people in positions of trust and authority to take away your constitutional rights. And one by one, like a cartel, they literally steal everything that is important to being American. They step over Americans and give entitlements to illegals. And they have a judiciary that's so rotted to the core that, frankly, it's not even recognizable. And everyone can see it. Like, we're saying the quiet part out loud while all these people say the same thing over and over again. And the same thing is this. They're like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. You're a conspiracy theorist. Every dog whistle known to man. They've certainly got it figured out. You're a homophobe. You're an anti-Semite. I mean, they just do it over and over again. In any sane society, the attacks against them would be violent. But we're not. We're not violent people. We recognize that they're weak people. They're weak, evil people. But we're not doing the things that are necessary. So we're going to talk a lot today about all the things that they've done to us. Squatters' rights, climate change, sanctuary policies, increasing taxes, indoctrination, grooming in schools, trans policies, open borders. They want to push all of that stuff against you. And we have a guest today that's going to talk about children's rights. What are we doing in Colorado specifically? But I had to put this post up. Let's go ahead and put it up. The state of Colorado is captured and rotted. The state of Colorado is captured by corrupt and rotted people who think they can do whatever they want. From the bottom to the top, they ignore the Constitution, use lawfare and illegal activity to punish their dissenters, and they destroy the rule of law. We're in a free fall, and something has to give, Mr. President. If you do not do something drastic soon, we are likely going to be dealing with civil unrest like you've never seen before. The state is weaponized against the people of the state, and the judiciary is rotted and corrupt to the core. They're now saying that they don't have to listen to the federal government. Do something. The sedition is obvious. And I put at President Trump. So let me ask you the question. Is it obvious? Is it obvious? Is what we're dealing with obvious? You know, I've been called every name in the book. The new one is that I'm an anti-Semite. The new one is that somewhere along the line, I hate on an entire group of people. It's not true. But not only has the Anti-Defamation League and all these other organizations made those dog whistles to the Republican Party, of which I'm running for the state chair, but before that, they did it when I was running for governor. They're deathly afraid of someone coming in and actually fixing this mess, because the blueprint had to have an ineffective, anemic Republican Party. They couldn't fight back. So having a guy like me that'll fight back, of course, the radical left is going to hate it. I want to show you something else. Let me just show you how the hijack system keeps working against Americans. Let's go and play it.
Allen back in court today, and the judge says he's not being treated well. Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel is in Washington with this story tonight. Good evening, Mike.
Brett, good evening. A federal judge apologized to the man accused of attempting to assassinate President Trump today for the way he's been treated by jail officials since his arrest. Magistrate Judge Zia Faroqui grilled a Washington, D.C. jail official over Cole Allen being held on suicide watch in a padded, lighted cell with no ability to make phone calls, read books, without access to religious materials or recreation time. Faroqui handled some of the January 6 cases and said about Allen, quote, "He's being treated differently than anyone I've ever observed." In addition to attempted assassination, Allen also faces 2 firearms-related charges. He faces up to life in prison if convicted. The judge today noted Allen has no criminal history, stressing that he is innocent until proven guilty and therefore should be treated fairly. The evidence released by the government so far has been pretty damning, including this video of Allen running through a security checkpoint before the Correspondents' Dinner shooting. Investigators say this video shows Allen casing the hotel a day before the April 25th attack, walking hallways and checking out the hotel gym. While in isolation, Allen has been going through a psychiatric evaluation to see if he is suicidal. A Justice Department prosecutor said Allen told FBI agents he didn't expect to survive the assassination attempt. And in an email, Allen said he wanted to extend his appreciation to many people since he will not likely be able to talk to them again. The judge told Allen he would get him the Bible that he's been requesting. He acknowledged it is a high-profile case, but claims Allen should not be in solitary confinement. The judge is demanding an update from the Department of Corrections by 9 a.m. tomorrow if Allen will be moved to a more comfortable cell, perhaps with a window. He is no longer on suicide watch. Brett?
Okay, Mike.
I want to remind you what they did to J6 prisoners. I want to remind you what that piece of trash did to a Colorado grandma right here in Colorado. Denied her an entire trial. Denied her a trial. This piece of shit judge, this piece of shit judge is not American. He's not an American. We're taking people that came to this country, didn't assimilate to anything, brought their radical ideologies, and now they want to put this madman back on the street. He apologizes for trying to kill our president. That's this piece of trash judge. A piece of trash judge that was put on the bench by other people that want to completely steal every part of what we represent as a country. I want to remind you what they did to J6ers. They used a fraudulent charge that was, frankly, goes back to the Enron days in order to indefinitely hold people who just walked onto property. Didn't do anything. Were not violent at all. They were raped, beaten, had their rights stripped from them. They spent years in prison without bail. They destroyed the lives of thousands of Americans who wanted to redress the grievances. And this guy comes in, tries to kill the president, and he wants to treat him like he should be staying at the Ritz-Carlton. The differences are absolutely stunning. But it should be, because you're dealing with the devil himself sitting on the bench. A rotted judiciary that was captured by stolen elections. And stolen elections have consequences. Stolen elections put ridiculously evil people in positions of power and strip the American people of their ability to have justice. Check out this story that Libs of TikTok posted about the mayor of Aurora, Illinois. You're not going to believe it. Go play it.
Meet John Lash, the mayor of Aurora, Illinois. John posted a lengthy video where he doxed ICE agents, boasted about following them around, and shared their live locations. Why is a mayor of an American city working to protect foreign murderers, pedophiles, and rapists, all while putting ICE agents in harm's way by sharing their live location? Absolutely insane and sickening behavior from an elected official. He must resign immediately. If anyone would like to share their concerns, you can reach out to the mayor's office here.
What's more insane is the fact that there are Americans that actually believe that what this guy's doing is right. How is this putting America first? And look, I have a friend of mine that is here illegally. He's an amazing guy. He's been a chef for a long time. His mother brought him here when he was a small boy. The only country he's ever known is the United States. I've been walking through a process to try and get him citizenship. This will be the 4th time that I've had to take someone through the process and help them get their citizenship. It's a long process. It's a long road. But how is it that we cannot put America first? Yeah, obviously, we want to have an immigration system that works, that forces people to assimilate to who we are. And by the way, this gentleman that I'm talking about, he's assimilated to the American lifestyle. He doesn't want anything to do with any of the craziness, has never been on welfare, and has worked hard his entire life. Those are the type of people that I think most of us want to be citizens of our country. But here's what's really happening. The judges have become the enforcers for the cartel at every level. And they operate to protect that cause at every turn. I want to talk about a case specific to a Supreme Court case where Justice Jackson, she had a dissent against the Louisiana gerrymandering case. And she publicly accuses SCOTUS of abandoning norms and constraints. Alito, joined by Thomas and Gorsuch, blast her dissent as baseless and insulting. But remember, this person that's on the bench was put there by a auto pin. So let's go through this. Let's just go through this really quick. Justice Alito with the Justice Thomas and Justice Gorsuch joined concurring. The dissent in the suit levels charges that cannot go unanswered. The dissent would require that the 2026 congressional elections in Louisiana be held under a map that has been held to be unconstitutional. The dissent does not claim that it is now too late for the state legislature or the district court to adopt a new map that complies. I can't read that. It's not. Let me see if I can read it from this way. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up this way so I can read some of this. There we go. All right. Let me go back here real quick. That complies with the Constitution, nor does the dissent assert that it is not feasible for the elections to be held under such a map. Instead, the dissent offers 2 reasons for its proposed course of action. One is trivial at best, and the other is baseless and insulting. The first is compliance with the 30-day default rule set out in the court's Rule 45.3. But as the court's order explains, there's good reason to depart from the default rule here. The principal reason for the 30-day default rule is to give a losing party time to prepare a petition for rehearing. But here, the Robinson appealees have not expressed an intent to file such a petition, much less set out any grounds on which a petition might be based. And the need for prompt action by the court is clear. The date scheduled for the beginning of early voting in the primary election has already passed. The congressional district map enacted by the legislature has been held to be unconstitutional, and the general election will be held in just 6 months. The second reason offered by the dissent is that we should allow the 30-day period to run out in order to avoid the appearance of partiality. But the dissent does not explain why its insistence on the unthinking compliance with Rule 45.3's default rule does not create the appearance of partiality by running out the clock. On behalf of those that may find it politically advantageous to have the election occur under the unconstitutional map. The dissent goes on to claim that our decision represents an unprincipled use of power. See post 4. And just like that, the principles give away to power. That is groundless and utterly irresponsible charge. What principle has the court violated? The principle of Rule 45.3's 30-day default period should never be shortened, even when there is good reason to do so. The principle that we should never take any action that might unjustifiably be criticized as partisan. So asking the question, you know, when you look at what Johnny Jackson has said in the past, it becomes impossible to ignore. She's just not she's just not smart. She's actually would you call her crazy, or would you call her just late for lunch? Either way you put it, this radical ideology that we have inside of our state has permeated through not just this state and this nation, but around the world. And you know that's being put on by people at the top that want you to ignore common sense and decency. We're going to be talking with Erin Lee. She's been on here before. She has a daughter that was groomed. And if it wasn't for her quick actions and removing her from the school and fighting against this, her daughter would have become another victim of the system. She is the founder of Protect Kids Colorado, and she is a mom fighting against gender ideology. She's done amazing things. So she's not just doing that. She has stepped in the mud when it had to do with pedophilia and some of the rules that these radical leftists in Colorado have passed. And she has been nonstop going after these radicals at every level. So with that said, Erin Lee, welcome to the show.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of stuff happening at the Capitol in Colorado right now. None of it's good.
Nonstop.
None of it's good. What's the new? I mean, we saw the pedophile bill come through where you had to rape a child 3 times in order to go to jail. I feel like I'm having this conversation with you, and this is an absurd conversation to have. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, and people don't believe it. As I go outside of Colorado or even here within our state and say these things are happening, people truly don't believe that for 3 consecutive years, Rep. Brandy Bradley ran a bipartisan bill with a Democrat to give minimum jail sentencing for raping children, and it was unilaterally killed on a party line every single time. The Democrats are the party of not holding pedophiles and rapists accountable. That's where we're at. It's insane.
I mean, tell me why. Tell me what you think. Give me your opinion on the why. How is this even a conversation we're even having right now?
Yeah, well, I'm very much tied to the gender ideology issue, and there's certainly a close connection between pushing gender ideology on children and that being a stepping stone to normalizing pedophilia. I experienced it when my daughter was sexualized at 12 years old, that they're, normalizing sexualizing kindergartners, and it's now mandated in 1st grade that you have to teach little kids about LGBTQ in history and civics class, in social studies. That's insane, and I think we would be remiss to not acknowledge that gender ideology is a stepping stone to normalizing pedophilia. They have passed so many laws, and it demands absolute fealty. Both gender ideology and this progression towards normalizing pedophilia. I think the decriminalization of prostitution was a step in that direction. They can't give an inch on these issues because the entire house of cards is built on quicksand, and if they give a single inch, then it falls. And so they've lumped, not holding rapists accountable into that category of lowering the age of consent, of normalizing pedophilia. And the Democrats won't give a single inch on any of these issues, which is insane. It's common sense. The fact that I have to run this ballot measure for mandatory jail time for people who buy or sell children for sex in this state, we shouldn't have to do this. This is a 90-10 at worst issue. Most common sense people agree with it, but those in power have the people who are their purse strings, who they have to remain loyal to. And unfortunately, we can't get an inch in the legislature. It's a lost cause.
Okay, so you have a bunch of things. I want to play this video really quick. This is you on ballot initiatives. I want to play this when I come back. I want to talk to you about those initiatives. You have Initiative 108, 109, and 110. Go ahead and play it.
3 for 3. We did it, Colorado. It's official. All 3 of the Protect Kids Colorado ballot measures are going to be on the November ballot. Number 108, the Children Are Not for Sale Act. Number 109, the Protect Girls Sports Act. And now add to that list number 110, the Protect Kids from Irreversible Sex Rejecting Surgeries Act. These are all going to be on the ballot so that we, the people, can stand up for kids and families and take our state back. They'll be on the November ballot. Now we're in campaign mode. So tell everyone you know to vote on these 3 very important common sense issues. This victory truly belongs to all 3,500 plus Coloradans who stepped up, who carried a petition, who donated, who notarized, who hosted us, who shared our content. We get to share this victory together, but now the real work begins.
Erin, I have a friend who's a Democrat that signed your petition. And I asked him, you know, how many of your friends signed this petition that are Democrats? And he said, all of them. What happens when we get to the ballot box and it's 51-49 and you lose?
That's not going to happen. These are very common.
Elections are stolen. I mean, we did not get here without stolen elections, right? You can't get to a place where the state goes this crazy and allows pedophiles out on the street if you don't rape a child 3 times, right? You rape them twice, you're off the hook, you get probation.
I do acknowledge that. And yes, we really need to look at the rigged election situation that's going on. But I do believe these are too big to rig. You know, I feel the same way about Donald Trump being able to get into the presidency this time around. It was too big to rig. And I think that's what we're up against here. As you said, this was something I wouldn't have set out to do if I didn't think that we would make the ballot and that we would win at the ballot. I'm very confident that people in the privacy of their own home will vote yes. Yes, we're up against a rigged election system, but this will be too big to rig. These are such common sense issues. It transcends politics. It transcends parties. Even the transgender issues poll at 80-20, according to the New York Times over a year ago. So we know that. We know that people are behind us. And what's so encouraging is we were told this couldn't be done. You know, that you have to have millions of dollars. This wasn't just an organization making the ballot. This was a couple of moms, a couple of ragtags just trying to circumvent the legislature, take matters into our own hands. And we did this with no money. We raised an army of over 3,320 petition circulators, all volunteer from every walk of life, you know, the LGBs, the atheists, the Democrats, because the great unifying issue is protecting children. That is a universal line in the sand that we may disagree on virtually everything else, but you can put your differences aside for the sake of protecting kids. And I think it's an indicator that things have gone too far. When 3,300 people are giving their time and treasure to go out of their way to do what is perceived as impossible, a volunteer ballot measure, that means that the legislature has officially woken up enough people with their radical legislation that they're ready to engage and do something. And I think people were hungry for a way to fight back. They just didn't understand that this is really one of our only means for taking back our state and protecting kids.
Okay, so the first bill I want to talk about, the Children Are Not for Sale Act, would increase the penalty, for sex trafficking, but judges still have discretion in the state of Colorado based on the Colorado Constitution, and they've taken that discretion and let criminals out on the street. So how do you square that peg?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, this is a logical first step. It's giving the good handful of DAs the ability to do their job. We've seen like Reams up and Greeley and, Brockler not be able to do their job because the laws don't permit them to prosecute people and put them behind bars. And so what this does as a first step is opens the door for the good DAs to set precedent by actually doing their job and enacting maximum jail time. This is life in prison without parole. That's what it puts on the table. Life without parole. If you rape a child, if you buy or sell a child one time, go to jail. And it's meant to deter people. In the process, Colorado is widely known as one of the most child trafficking friendly states. It's no secret that people intentionally come here to traffic children because they know that there are no laws that can hold them accountable. And so by setting this precedent, we intend to set a deterrent that no, don't go somewhere else to do that. If you come to Colorado and buy or sell a child, you can be prosecuted. And I think that these good DAs, again, will set precedent by actually utilizing what this law enables them to do so that others can follow suit. Just change the trajectory of what DAs are doing in the state.
You talked about George Brockler. He is the DA for District 23 in Douglas County. And he has been hamstrung. And as a DA, he could set up recommendations. But even in Douglas County, the judges in Douglas County in a conservative area have been appointed by Polis, who is a radical leftist judge or a radical leftist governor. And so I've heard this 100 times from other attorneys that they go into court, they have a deal here, you got 20 years, and the judge goes, I'm going to give you 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a deeply corrupt judicial system. I think that's no secret. And this is as much of a yes, with all three of these initiatives, we intend to change statute. That is necessary. But even more importantly, is shifting culture. Again, we're sending the message by having no penalties in place that this is a free for all to come rape children. We have to start sending a message and educating people. Yes, we suffer from corrupt elections, but we suffer even worse from willful ignorance and apathy and lack of knowledge. And that's how Colorado got here. I always say this like this libertarian mindset, this live and let live, where we just have no line in the sand that we're willing to draw, cut kids' body parts off, rape children, whatever. It's live and let live. Well, we have to shift the culture away from that, especially when it comes to protecting children. And I think passing this law will do as much good culturally as it will in the judicial system.
Well, it's funny when you talked about the live and let live, even conservatives have this kind of, hey, let's not judge others. But when it comes to children, there's a firm line in the sand, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. And yet they came for our children first. And they came through the front door in elementary and secondary education. They didn't wait till they got to college in order to push this indoctrination, which is one of the big problems that we have. Look, if once you hit 18, it's a different story than when you're doing this stuff to small children. But as we look at this, and I looked at a map, I was actually looking at a map before I came in here. What if I told you that 68% of Colorado leans not just right, but dramatically right? 68%. And that people that lean the center is about 14%. So people that are truly right down the center is about 14%. So you have 82% of the state, which is completely diabolically opposed, and that there's only about 9% that lean left. So how in the world did we get to a legislature that is, and I think I know the answer to the question because it's still in elections, but how do we get to this place right now where the data inside the state, because I'm sure you're seeing this too. You went out there and you had, was there any Democrats that said no? How many Democrats said no, I won't sign it? See?
No one said no. People said thank you. We had so many people go, this is a problem. This is happening. We didn't know. It was such an opportunity to educate people because they suffer from lack of knowledge. And it's hard to believe that the things that are happening in Colorado are happening, that these laws actually exist on the books. No one has time to pay attention to the litany of laws that they continue to pass that violate our rights and violate our kids. People were shocked that this even has to be done. But no, we met a handful of trans radical activists that strangled grandmas and flipped tables. But beyond that, everyone wanted to sign it. They were appreciative.
Wait, you said you had a couple that tried to strangle grandmas?
We had a group called the Patriot Grandmas up here in Larimer County, and they, in our final push, were outside of King Soopers, and they had coffee thrown at them. They were spit on, tables flipped. We had to enact security guards. So for every grandma, we had to have 2 bodyguards protecting them outside of the grocery store. The Larimer County Sheriff would not protect them. That's a whole nother can of worms. That man is not a conservative, and I'm not a fan. But one of their security guards.
Let's call him out. Who is he?
John Fayen, yeah,
John
who
Fayen. So
pretended to be conservative.
Yeah, and he protected them flipping over tables. Man,
He
I wish
just
you would have called me.
He refused to intervene, but one of the bodyguards actually did get strangled, chasing off one of these radical activists who was harassing grandmothers. It was wild.
Did the bodyguards get to beat the brakes out of any of them? I just want to know that.
No, and I'm proud of how people reacted.
Sorry, Erin. I have to tell you that there's a consequence that people don't really want that we've stayed away from. We've stayed away from that line. And people get mad at me because when we did the Back to Blue rally in 2020, the radical leftists came out of nowhere. They attacked Michelle Malkin. They attacked all these people. So we just started throwing hands. And we beat the brakes off of all of them. Like we crushed a ton of them. But guess what they didn't do? They didn't come back again. They left. Right? So
Right.
I'm not a violent person, but I think that the only way you push evil back into the hole is with force. I just don't think evil is just going to be like, all right, I give up.
I'm not on the force side of things, but I am on the shine a bright light on them. I think people just don't understand the evil roots behind how Colorado got this bad. And so, one of my things that I really put at the forefront of what I do is expose the evil, tell people what's happening. But to your original question about conservatives, Elon Musk put out a great diagram. Most people have probably seen it, where it shifted. Like what it means to be a conservative shifted. We didn't change. And I'm one of them. I used to consider myself a leftist. I used to watch The View, as embarrassing as that is. And then the world shifted around me, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait, I'm a conservative. I actually have conservative values because what it means to be a conservative has changed. So I believe your statistic that 70% of Coloradans lean conservative. And the reason our legislature doesn't reflect that is 30% of them are appointments. When 24 people in an appointment committee are determining who's going to take those seats, and usually those appointees are passing the most radical laws. But we also have the Democratic Socialists of America openly endorsing and promoting their candidates, and they waltz right into the legislature and pass these laws like decriminalizing prostitution and making it illegal to record the accurate sex on a death certificate. I mean, they know no bounds of pushing the Childs v. Salazar issue. So we overturned House Bill 1911-29 at the Supreme Court, and the very next day, here's Colorado Democrats pushing an even worse bill, in my opinion, which opens people up to civil liability versus OCR attacks, where they just do whatever they want, unchecked. And there's no checks and balances from anyone outside the state of Colorado to put parameters on what these people are getting away with, which is like 3 unconstitutional laws a day that they're passing against their citizens.
So one of the reasons why I like to talk about consequences for people is because I talk to dads all day long. And we've got to be able to talk about the risks of what it means if we don't right this ship. If we don't right this ship, you have dads that are watching their daughters be, 39 teachers last year in Colorado got arrested for sexually assaulting a child. 39. Yeah. This year, it's going to be double that. One of our most glaring, you said, put a light on it, is Jefferson County, one of the worst in the state. And
the country.
in the country. Well, and you have an administration above that. You have literally the administration above that in Jefferson County that are hiding it. And not even telling the parents what's happening inside of a school when one of their teachers is arrested for a sexual crime.
Yeah. And they're funded by Tim Gill. Let's talk about that. I live here in the Poudre School District in Fort Collins, which is funded by Pat Stryker. So here we have the Gang of Four pouring into these school districts. And no surprise, they are the worst school districts in the entire country, with the highest rates of males participating in female sports, 63 just in Jefferson County alone. When people say this isn't happening, well, there are 63 female sports spots on the roster that are belong to biological males. That's insane. It's the same thing in Pooter. When we continue to have these child predators come out, what do we expect? Of course, predators are going to go to the red carpet being laid out for them to harm children in a place where we keep secrets, don't tell your parents, sexualizing kids at 5 years old, not conducting background checks, prioritizing safe adults and trusted spaces. Of course, is where the pedophiles are going to go, where the kids are. It's a feeding frenzy. And there's no checks and balances. In fact, like the teacher who harmed my daughter got promoted and celebrated, and now she's in charge of overnight lock-ins with middle school kids.
We talked about this before. How'd your husband react to this?
I think the Lord intervened on our family. I really do. And we were left-leaning, faithless people before this happened. I was your typical millennial, virtue signaling white woman who opened the door for this kind of thing to happen with my family by blindly trusting the public schools. And, my initial reaction, I said, I'm going to burn it all down. And my husband goes, I'm going to get the matches. And I think truly the Holy Spirit intervened. He goes, okay, we're going to do this the right way. We're going to call the school board, hire a lawyer, call the police. I'm going to follow all the proper channels because I'm no good to you if I'm not here alongside you trying to hold people accountable. So I do think the Holy Spirit intervened. He's a very calm, rational person, but he's a very strong man, as evidenced by the fact that we got our daughter out of the cult and continue to burn things down. We're just doing it in a different way, through lawsuits, through exposure, through forcing the change of laws on these school districts. It's not as immediately gratifying, but I do think in the long run, it's more effective for protecting other kids.
I don't actually think that the violent side of it is actually gratifying at all. Matter of fact, that hurt people hurt people. So if you hurt people, they turn around and they're hurt people that hurt more people. So it's a vicious circle. But the reality of it is that men, when they feel hopeless or someone goes after their children, there's something in us that just snaps, and we want blood because we don't want to have our children get hurt. And frankly, if it wasn't for the work that you've done already up to this point, we wouldn't have had this light shine on these events that have put us in, I think, a better position for that Overton window to move over and say, okay, now you're conservative if you believe these things, right?
Yeah. And I think you can relate with the fact that this is not easy work. I never in a million years thought I'm going to be an active. I mean, I lost my career for speaking up. I work for free. I run a volunteer organization. I don't get paid. Like I get death threats all the time. I just got a message with an image of Charlie Kirk and the email just said bang. Like I live with this every day. This is not the life I would have chosen for myself, but God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. And I truly think that we are the most unlikely people that were put in this position on purpose. And we were so blessed to get our daughter out of it so that we can be the people who are shining a light for the thousands of families who are still stuck in it. And I can't emphasize that enough. We're one of the lucky ones. But what happened to us is not an isolated incident. It's happening to hundreds and hundreds of families here in Colorado. I hear from at least 2 a week who've had their kids secretly transitioned, or dads who've had their entire custodial rights to their children taken away for an unwillingness to transition them. This is such a pervasive problem. And so I'm blessed to be able to shine a light on it.
Let's talk about the fact that this isn't just a Colorado issue. You've taken it up in Colorado, but it's happening all over the country. And there's a place in Illinois, and I want to play this, and I want to get your thoughts on this. This is the DOJ investigating 36 school districts, not one, not two, 36 in Illinois. Go ahead and play it.
The Trump administration is investigating dozens of Illinois school districts, and prosecutors say they helped children change genders without telling their parents. The review is also looking at whether the districts violated parents' right to opt their child out of lessons on gender and sexuality. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin reports from Chicago. Mike, this just keeps happening.
Yeah, and Harris, if Illinois schools are transitioning students without the consent or knowledge of their parents, the Department of Justice is going to find out about it. As you mentioned, the DOJ has launched an investigation into some 36 schools in Illinois. The investigation is going to probe whether the schools are pushing woke agenda on the students, particularly if they're pushing sexual orientation and gender ideology. Now, the investigation will examine if parents have been notified about how sexual orientation and gender ideology is being presented to the students, whether parents parents are being kept in the dark about a child taking on another gender, and whether students are forced into locker rooms and bathrooms with a person born the opposite gender. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon tells Fox News parents have a right to know the curriculum being presented to their kids.
If the schools are mandating this and not allowing parents the opportunity to opt out of content that may be inappropriate for them based on religion or values, they would be afoul of that Supreme Court precedent. And so we have reason to believe that these school districts in Illinois are not obeying the law.
Now, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker dismissed the new investigation as a sham aimed at punishing states President Trump does not like. Democrat Illinois Senator Dick Durbin said if President Trump cared about students, he would reverse a decision to dismantle the Department of Education and stop attacking the rights of LGBTQ students. The ACLU says the Trump administration is wrongly interpreting federal law. Now, Assistant Attorney General Dillon says the state may be forcing this curriculum on the school, and therefore federal intervention will be needed to stop what she calls an illegal practice.
It's not a matter of if it's happening, it is happening, and it's happening in all 50 states. You are not immune from this because you live in rural Oklahoma. The public school system is deeply infiltrated from the top down by the teachers union, by the globalist elites. This has been in place for decades. We're only just now awakening to it, but this is happening. And I encourage people to look into, it's House Bill 191192. Back in 2019, they mandated the teaching of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender starting in first grade social studies. It is a state mandate that they're exposing kids to this, and there is no opt-out for parents. So every single parent in the entire state of Colorado, their kids starting at 6 years old are being exposed to this without your knowledge. They're planting the seeds, just like they did with my daughter, so that by the time she was 12 and puberty was uncomfortable, boom, well, you can just be trans and all your discomfort will go away. And trans had been normalized. It made perfect sense to her in that moment because they had planted so many seeds right under my nose. So this is happening. My question is, okay, DOJ, what are you going to do about it? Because this is happening in all 50 states. The Mirabelli case in California, that's not playing out like we hoped it would. Mine was the first case to go to the Supreme Court, Lee versus Pooter. Alito, Gorsuch, and Thomas did write a decision saying this is troubling and tragic. Lower courts need to handle it, but they're not handling it. There were then 4 cases behind mine that were also dismissed by the Supreme Court. We now have 0 secret school transition cases sitting at the Supreme Court. So there's no precedent. There's no one acting to stop this. And I want to know what the DOJ intends to do with what they will surely find as a flagrant violation of parental rights.
Well, this is why I talk about things that are very uncomfortable for us to talk about, and that is what is the reaction to the people. And there's a visceral reaction to what we do to children because it's permanent, right? When you put someone on even puberty blockers, you lower their ability to have fertility rates, and that fertility rate now is sitting at almost under 50%, which makes it very difficult for us to procreate. If we can't procreate, obviously our entire country dies, along with humanity, right? Mm-hmm. But as we start looking at these things, a vast majority of people don't want it. They don't want it. Just normal people, Democrats, Republicans. So let me ask you this question. Do you feel like there's this unlikely alliance that's happened that is basically transcending Republican and Democrat? Because I'm seeing it now, that it's the people. We should have a people's party that just says, hey, look, if it's good for our community, we should do that. But frankly, we've been abandoned by the Democrats, abandoned by the Republicans, and it just seems like only the Erin Lees of the world are actually getting us to a place where we can actually have a conversation.
Yeah, I've experienced it firsthand. Again, I think issues like this, protecting kids from irreversible harm, is a great unifier. And I've experienced it. You know, we built a coalition of 3,500 plus Coloradans from every walk of life who said, yeah, I've had enough. I want to do something about it. Let me help you. And it's by putting politics aside and saying, I don't care if you're left or right. I don't care if you're gay or straight. We're just talking about protecting kids. I'm seeing it happening. And I think they've gone too far. They have pushed the pendulum so far into insanity that when I see laws like 1312 last year, which was the worst law in the entire world, it's horrible. I'm suing the state over it. But it woke a lot of people up. It garnered a lot of national attention. It brought out 800 people to show up to the Capitol and testify for protecting children and parental rights. They've gone too far. And as I said earlier, it's a house of cards built on quicksand. They can't give an inch. But once we pull one of those cards out from the house, it's going to topple. And we're going to see dominoes fall all over the country as a result of passing these initiatives here in Colorado. So I think they've officially gone too far on this issue.
The big thing for me is I've always been a fan of, I got a lot of Democrat friends, I got a lot of Republican friends. Everybody's like, I can't be friends with Democrats. And I was like, listen, most Democrats don't want anything to do with any of this, right? They're to live free and do whatever you want to do, right? So so I think we have to start delineating, and by the way, this was a big change for me too. Is that Democrats are not evil? Okay, well I have friends that are like, Joe, I'm not evil. And I'm like, no, you're not evil. You're a different type of Democrat. So now we've got to start having the conversation that we separate political, allegiances from the very people that are being enslaved by those decisions that are made that nobody supports.
It seems to go one way, doesn't it? I mean, I am a recovering Democrat. I have lost so much family and friends for changing my perspective. And it really was this issue that propelled me into saying, oh, maybe I am a conservative. I've lost cousins. I've lost best friends who said, well, I can't talk to you anymore because you're a bigot and you're anti-trans and you stand for these things. But our side doesn't act that way. I would never have cut these people out of my life, even if they mutilated their own child. So it really is a one-sided situation. I think we need to help people who identify as Democrats understand it's in your name. Your party is the one doing this. They're the only one doing this. And if you don't speak up, it's not going to stop, because conservatives can scream till we're blue in the face, but you're the one that has the power to change it.
100%. I'm going to play this last clip, get your thoughts on it before I let you go. But this is the city of Fort Collins is teaming up with a library. Oh my gosh, just going to play it.
Okay, people, they're coming for your children again. The city of Fort Collins partnered with Poudre Library and is hosting an upcoming free LGBTQ plus event for children. It's an alien space-themed event called Intergalactic Glamboree. They're going to have pronoun indicators, youth fashion walks, and performances by these drag queens. Why is it always the drag queens? This is how they groom our children, and they're using your taxpayer dollars to do it. If you want to express your concerns, we'll leave the mayor's contact information here for you.
So if there's a report coming out of Fort Collins, you can bet money that I'm the one who found it and exposed it. This is no exception. But this is their third annual queer prom at a public institution funded by my tax dollars, through the libraries, through the city. They just are so flagrant and so brazen. I say all the time that gender ideology is a state-mandated religion, that if you don't practice it, you will be punished in order to normalize it. And that's exactly what's happening here. We have a rainbow crosswalk that they put with my tax dollars. I can't even take my kids to downtown Fort Collins anymore because they have trans flags in the kids' stores, in the cookie shop, at the pet store. You are hard-pressed to walk down without seeing multiple men with full beards and dresses on Main Street, Fort Collins. This is just very commonplace here. I don't think people understand that I live in the twilight zone where I'm the bad guy. I'm public enemy number one of Fort Collins, and people like that are completely normalized, where we're sexualizing kids. And let me just tell people that you need to understand who's behind it. Again, Pat Stryker lives in Fort Collins. She's one of the gang of four. Stryker Medical Corp. She makes money. She profits off of irreversibly mutilating kids' bodies. So of course she's going to fund the schools, the libraries, the NGOs who are pushing this on children. She stands to make money off of it. It is a very, very evil incentive. And we have a Unitarian church here. People aren't familiar with the Unitarians. They're not really a church, but they have sexualized drag performances for kids at the altar during Sunday service, including child performers. Little boys dressed as girls dancing sexually on a church altar during Sunday service. That's the state of Fort Collins. That really is the state of a lot of communities in Colorado, and people need to start paying attention to it.
Erin Lee, thanks for coming on. I do appreciate all the work that you've put into this. There's really there are no words for the evil, and the fact that you could see the evil. Like literally, you could taste it, smell it. It's a block. You can't see through it. It's that thick. And I'm just grateful that we have you out there with others that are just working this problem? How do people stay connected with you? How do they donate? How do they help you?
Yeah, I want people to be encouraged that supporting these ballot measures will topple dominoes of this evil. So protectkidscolorado.org. The opposition's very well funded. It's ACLU, Lambda Legal, Planned Parenthood. They've got a war chest and paid activists. We're going to need money to defeat them, although we will out people and out message them. Encourage people to support us at protectkidscolorado.org. And then I go by Erin for parental rights on all platforms, and I'm exposing these things daily. So I hope people will share them and tell other people. And one more resource I put on our website at protectkidscolorado.org. I just put out a list of all the laws that have already been passed that are violating our rights and mandating gender ideology. And I encourage people to share that. Knowledge is really power.
All right, perfect. Erin Lee, thanks for all the work that you do. Appreciate it very much. God bless you.
Thanks, Joe.
The work she does is invaluable. And she had to do it through saving her own 12-year-old daughter. I want to report something that we didn't talk about here today, that her daughter went on to have a prom just a few weeks ago, a high school prom, senior prom. And she's just as normal and as great as she can be. And that was as a result of the courage that Erin had to make sure she could snatch her from that environment. So we're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about gentrification, colonizing. I don't even, it's a lot. We're going to talk about the grooming factor out in the open. We'll be right back.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Oh, our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns, we keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Okay, so let me get this straight. When white people move into an area, it's called colonizing or gentrification, which is bad, right? But if people of a high melanin count move into an area, that's cultural enrichment and diversity is our strength, which is good. But then if those same white people don't want any more cultural enrichment or tired of diversity being their strength, that's called white flight, which is bad. So they don't want white people to come or to go. It's almost as if they don't want them to exist at all. Oh, man.
It is a fight against white people. And white people are starting to wake up to this every single day. In the UK, there are tens of thousands of people that are meeting in pubs that are connecting to other people that are like, we've had enough. And they're ready to run the people out of leadership everywhere and kick these entitled people out of their country. In the United States, we have this thing where, we're supposed to be tolerant. And yet, the only people that aren't tolerant are the radical left, because you either believe what they think or what they feel and what they want to do to our children, or you're a bigot, you're a homophobe. And they stuff things down our throats while telling us that it really is an anti-Christian movement. It has nothing to do with anything other than being anti-Christian. And we get it from both sides. Whether we're talking about a small country overseas, you know what I'm talking about, or we're talking about Arab nations coming in and saying, hey, look, we only want Muslims. We want everyone converts to be a Muslim or else. But the entitlement never goes away. What's made it very difficult is that we're not allowed to tell the truth. You're not allowed to speak the truth. If you speak the truth or talk about the truth, then they basically isolate you and put you into exile and call you all these different dog whistles. And it's not just one side that does it. It's both. So I want you to listen to this, man. This is an advertisement for a Muslim-only event in Texas. People in Texas are pissed. Play it.
How is it that a Muslims-only event could be taking place at a Grand Prairie, Texas water park that is owned by the city of Grand Prairie, subsidized by a 1/4 cent sales tax, and yet Muslims only? This has to be illegal. Maybe we'll find out shortly. But check this out in the meantime. Muslims only is on the invitation. They tell you what to wear. You must dress modestly. Look at the swimsuits they want women and even little girls to wear. Why? Is it because you will blame them if they don't dress up like this? If they tempt men? Is that why you do this? If this was a conservative Christian event, first of all, if it was a conservative Christians only or Christians only event, wow, would their heads explode. But number two, if this is a Christians only event and we show the exact swimwear women have to model or wear or they won't be allowed in, and we were telling people, because this literally is one of the things they're telling people, you're expected to uphold Islamic etiquette by lowering the gaze throughout the day. Apparently you have to look down and be ashamed as you're walking. Can you imagine if this is the exact same thing that took place at a Christians-only event, how their heads would explode? Why? Where's the left? Where's the left saying that this is the Stepford Wives? Where's the left saying these are the Handmaiden Tales? Because these are for real the Handmaiden Tales. And by the way, how are they going to check if I'm Muslim? Are they going to check my Muslim card? If I dress up like a Muslim and buy a ticket, can I go in there? They're going to stop me? How are they going to know? That's another thing I want to know.
I think we should find out. I think we should go in there and have some cheeseburgers. I just think it's absurd. It's absurd. It's absurd. I was going to say something else. I caught myself. So my Muslim friends, I was being funny. It wasn't funny, but I was being funny. But check this out. This is kind of what we're fighting against right now. It's a cultural war, and 99% of it is from people who are overseas. They're foreigners. They're foreigners, like the foreigner judge that's trying to apologize to the person that tried to murder our president, my president. Check out this person running for become the first transgender California state senator. Go ahead.
ICE needs to get the out of California. My name is Maybe. I'm running for state senate in the heart of Los Angeles and East LA, and I will fight for human rights in the state legislature. I've been working with people experiencing homelessness for over a decade, volunteering at shelters, being the homelessness liaison for the neighborhood council, and now being the operations manager for the Neighborhood Homeless Coalition. I'm fighting to make California affordable, safe, and inclusive for all. Tuition-free college, healthcare for all, housing for all, renters' rights. We can have all of these things. We deserve all of these things. We're going up against some powerful special interest groups in this race, including the landlord lobby, fossil fuel companies, and even the leaders of AIPAC. This campaign only takes money from individuals, the people that we are going to be elected to represent, not foreign interest groups, not lobbyists, not corporate, anything. California has never had a trans or non-binary legislator, and that is far past time to change. Please donate to this campaign for human rights, justice, and equity today. Let's keep fascism out of California together.
I don't even know what to say. Like, the absurd has become even more absurd. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like cosplay on steroids. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully the people in Los Angeles have got a brain in their head. But then again, half the people that will be voting will be homeless people on the street. And here's some more gaslighting by the piece of trash Somalian. Play it.
He's always been a racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic. We know that he called African nations a shithole in his first administration. We know that when he came down that escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country. And so it is not surprising that he is going after black immigrants in this country. And it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim. But what I would like to say is that most of us are citizens. On our passport, it says we are nationals of this country. We love that Minnesota has welcomed us. Many of us have not been settled in Minnesota. We chose it as a home because the Minnesota people and the state is beautiful and very welcoming. And we are going to be here regardless of what the president has to say.
I agree. I love the
That's what you get when you get the IQ of a potato, is you get Ilhan Omar. Everyone's a xenophobe and a Islamophobe. What we don't even care. We're done with the dog whistles. Most people don't care. They just don't care. What they do care about is that you stole billions of dollars and you sent it back to a shithole country, and I've been in that country, and it is a shithole. And the people there are treated poorly by their own people. That's the reality. And I'm sorry, if you want to, why aren't you there? If it's not a shithole, why don't you go back to it? Just go live there. And take all of your ideological BS with you. I want to finish with this clip. This is a British woman. And the question is, if I had to pick between an island with patriotic right-wing men and Muslim men. Play it.
If someone said to me that I had to spend a week on an island, but I had the choice of 2 islands, one of those islands would be filled with British white patriotic men, and one of those islands would be filled with Muslim men. I can 100% say that I would feel safe and secure on the island with Muslim men.
I don't even know what to say right now. I mean, you can have good Muslim men, but the fact that she would call them right-wing patriotic men, to people that believe in her country, and she would not feel comfortable with them, but would feel comfortable with a group of people that in her country, and so this is the reality, have raped women without consequence over the last 3 decades in such a way that it's a matter of if you get raped, not when. Or excuse me, when you get raped, not if. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're up against right now, is that there are people that believe certain things. And if I were to ask this woman why, she couldn't answer the question. She just has a visceral reaction because of the media that's been pushed out there. The media should be held accountable for the what it's done. And it has been purposely weaponized against people. And so the weak-minded people, that I guess want to support the David Koresh crowd, I guess, who want to lead people to death. All right, bacon cheeseburgers, bring your sauce on. So Chris, I think, got my point when I was being funny. Let's see what else you got in the comments. It makes me angry that my property taxes are going up in Illinois because of this crap. Yep. That's why I refuse to take my kids to the library anymore. I'm with you on that, for sure. This guy needs Jesus. I think there's a lot of people that need Jesus, for sure. I think you were talking about the dude that acted like a woman, I think. All right. Susan Rice, good to see you. Gammy is posting, and it's been erased. She has testified often with Erin, is so proud of her and love the battle warriors I have met last 6 years. Are you seeing my comments or not? I see a gray, yes. Ultra mega patriot, I see you. We see you clearly. All right. We got a lot going on today. We have the Avalanche that in a couple hours are going to go beat the Minnesota Wild. That's going to happen here in a couple hours. And so I'm going to get out of here a little bit early. So with that said, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. We've got a bunch of things that we're starting to launch, and we've got a new app that's going to be coming out. It should be pretty awesome. So, yeah. You're the ambassadors of truth. I'm glad we got to get Erin on today. We got to talk a little bit about just how crazy things are. I want you to remember one thing, though. It's not so crazy that we can't actually get past it. I believe that we should have a people's party. We should be talking about how do we get people together? How do we get people on the left and the right? Erin said, hey, look, I watched The View. I don't know if anybody that would actually admit to watching The View. Did she say The View? Did she say The View? I think she said The View. Yeah. No, nobody in the right mind would watch that show. But she says, I'm a recovering Democrat. There's so many people out there that want to do good. But the problem is that you want to look like you're doing good to avoid looking bad. And that is a recipe for disaster. And that's really what we're up against now. So, yeah, I'll see you on the other side of this, but let's pray it out. Father God, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for Erin Lee. Thank you for the fighter that she has been. And thank you for the grace that you showed her and her husband and their daughter in saving her from what can only be described as the evil that exists inside of the public school system. Father, we don't always know what the outcome is going to be. We just know that we're in this fight. And we're trying to restore you to our community, to our state, and to our country. So, Father, we just ask you to give us the tools to do that, to set aside petty differences, to come together and collectively just find a way out, find a way to solve this problem, to work this problem, to protect our brothers and sisters in the state of Colorado and around the nation. Father, we have several people that we know that are sick. We just ask you to heal those people and to give them the ability to have peace. And last thing I'll say, Father, is if you could just wrap your arms around President Trump and his administration and just guide them in such a way that they may have courage to do what is right by the people, the great people of our nation. So we ask these things, Father, humbly, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. I will see you guys soon. Go do your thing. Go Avs. And yeah, see you tomorrow.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivated. where the